Tarehe ni 11 mwezi wa 5 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama, umeamka vizuri. Kama unakimbia ofisini tayari uko kazini pale, na kama pia unaenda kwenye mjengo, unajua nasema mboka ni mboka, wera ni wera, kazi ni kazi. Kama unakimbia pale jua kali, natumai kwamba tayari ushafika pale vibandani, uanze kutafuta riziki ya siku. It's a new day, it's another day, and it's a Wednesday. Is it? Oh no, Tuesday of 11 May 2021. Na show ya leo tunaangazia mambo ya BBI, the legislation process. What next after the parliamentary approvals? Na leo tuko na expert mambo ya civic education, na pia ni wakili, kwa hivyo ataweza kutupeleka moja kwa moja taratibu kupitia mambo process ya BBI. Tutajua ni vipi ambalo linaweza kufuata. Pole ni sana tukuweza kuwa na Mheshimiwa Kimani Ngunjiri kwa sababu alikuwa pale Nakuru. Nasikia mvua mingi sana, so anang'ang'ana pale baadhi constituency kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wako salama pale. Kama kawaida, kabla tuanze kazi, pole ni kwanza, tumechelewa leo. Nairobi, hey. Traffic is crazy, a lot of accidents on the road. It's back to school and the madness is back in Nairobi roads. So I mean, it takes time for us to adapt so that we can find the best way to move forward. Karibuni sana. Kama kawaida na kwamba when you get in, please like, when you like, get to know that you're watching us, and that like, please share. And you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wide the broadcast. This is a tackle 11 May 2021, and the tackle begins now. Lakini kabla tuanza, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi na kuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Haya, mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We glorify you for what you given our hands to do. We pray that as we study show, may you be with us. Even when we speak to Kenyans, may be able to edify them and be able to edify the fabric of this country. As we have these conversations, we pray that it may be significant. Be with us when we start. Even be with every tackler who is watching us today. Every other person who is struggling with a need, may you meet them at their point of need. As we start up with us, when we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. In your mighty name, I pray, trusting and believing. Amen and amen. Haya, naona kuna watu wameamka tayari. Tough. Anasema good morning to you. Gideon Mutai, live from Bomet. Asante sana. San Kimayo, following Zana Sarit Kosgei. Good morning, my brother. Good to see you watching live from Bomet. Bet Kapombe, Pop Kapombe. Anasema ndani kama kawa from Lolongo. MCA aspirant Tenai Makau. Anasema good morning, class. Congratulations to 2021 candidates live from Sizibo. Asante. Joel Rama, chairman menokwisha chairman diaspora edition, anasema yuko ndani. Asante sana. Ambassador Alfred Saja naona yuko ndani. Robert Ndegwa, good morning. Good morning to my brother Agnes Limo, good morning. Areba Moyo Samba, wakili naona tayari ashaingia pale. Ona Jules Favor, some good morning brother, bitoka tuned in and back to the city 047. Karibu sana Jules Favor, karibu sana. And please, when you join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and after you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wide the broadcast. This is a tackle, and the tackle begins now. Robert Atlanta, Robert from Atlanta, Sam, I love your show and congrats on to the KCSE candidates. By the way, kama kuna mwanafunzi ambaye alikuwa anafanya mtihani pale, unaweza tupa congratulations zako hapo chini, alafu tutaweza kusoma. Please, or if you have someone that you wish to congratulate for passing the examination, also those who did, it's not all about passing, because life is not a competition. So kama kuna mtu ambaye unataka kumwambia hongera, tafadhali tupa pale kwa comment section, alafu nitaweza kuisoma. Alafu leo sina laptop yangu, so kwa hivyo kama kuna comments ambazo utakosa kuzisoma, utanisamea tafadhali. So I'll just read what I can see. Kama kuna ambaye nitakuwa nimeikosa, pole zaidi. Naona sasa kusema Gerald, you're doing a good job. Blessings to you. I want to miss the tackle always. Thank you so much. Mwangi Waweru, good morning to ground bro. Asante. John Digi wa Naina anakuwa anasema tuned in. Samuel Washira from Samburu County. Bruce Lee Isaida, good morning to class live from city under the sun. Asante sana. Naona Brian anasema yuko ndani. Asante sana. John Ribia wa Naina, loving the show. Salamu kwa wakili James Ginya. Asante sana. Jones Mwenda, good morning from Meru Rangers. Thank you. Just as to my good morning, good tackle watching from Dagoretti. Asante sana. Endelea kutuma pale salamu. Naona Nicholas pia ameingia pale. Please keep sending in your salams. Kama kuna mwanafunzi ambaye nataka kumpongeza, tafadhali tupa comment section hapa, alafu nitaweza kuisoma. Haya, to all the students who did their KCSE na results zilitoka jana, wala ambao walipita, we want to tell you that congratulations, pongezi sana. Wala ambao waliweza kujikaza na waweza kupata zile alama ambazo walizipata, pongezi sana. Na wale pia ambao pia wangeweza kufikia zile alama, tunaambia kwamba hongera pia, at least mlijaribu mkafanya mtihani. Nakwambia kwamba maisha iko na mambo saa zingine. Wala ambao wanaweza kufanya vizuri darasani, kuna darasa lingine linaloitwa la maisha. Ukikuja hapa nje utajua kuna shule nyingine. Nje ulikuwa na wanafunzi wakisema ati tumemaliza shule, they are celebrating. Huku nje kuna maisha inaitwa shule ya maisha. Ni hatari sana. Anyway, naona Kipsaro Arab Boy anasema safi sana kiongozi. Nandi Steven Flemson Tumaga falling from Thika show iko ndani, iko top. Asante sana. Kariku Amasi watching from Kayole, Peter MB watching from Malindi. Naona Jose Kubati anasema iko ndani. Haya, wale ambao waliweza kupata ma A na ma B na manini, pongezi. Wale ambao pia walipata mpaka, niliona kulikuwa mpaka wa X ama sijui ilikuwa imekuwa why. Pia maisha ipo na tutakuja kujaribu tuone ya kwamba ni lipi unaweza kuchangia kwenye ujenzi wa taifa, alafu tuweze kuendelea mbele pamoja. Sisi wote tuweze kupata A, hata mimi sikupata A, lakini sisi niko hapa na wapigia story watu wa A. Anyway, jambo wakili.
Mzuri sana.
Good morning.
Good morning too.
Yo.
Yes.
It's good to see you, pole. Nimekuweka sana kwa mjengo.
Yeah, okay.
Natumai ya kwamba uko salama pia.
Niko salama. Haina shida. You give me a short notice yesterday.
Yeah.
Na I'm here.
Nimeona.
Na nikafika 7:15.
Nimeona, keep time.
And
you're a good Kenyan.
I'm also a soldier. You know, a soldier is always prepared.
Yeah.
Yes, a soldier is always prepared.
Soldier wa Salvation Army ama wa ukweli wa serikali?
Ya wa serikali. Akiambiwa let's go to the wall, anaenda. Anachukua virago, anaenda.
Unajua wa Salvation Army bado ni jeshi. Anyway, and to give an opportunity to introduce yourself to Kenyans, unafanya nini? Wewe ni nani, unafanya nini? Unatoka wapi? Mambo kama haya.
Okay. My name is James Nginya. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Niko na miaka 4 ya post admission. Niko admitted 21st March 2017. Nafanya place inaitwa Kenya Law Report. Kenya Law Report is a public organization. It deals with conveying public information. So najua hii acts na Kenya Gazette. Yes, that's where I work.
Unafanya kwa Kenya Gazette?
Kenya Law Report. Sijui kama umeshaisikia.
Sijasikia, nimesikia tu Kenya Gazette.
Kenya Law Report.
Kenya Law Report. Yes. Unajua kidogo ni mwana umeaffectiwa na matamuchi ya Nyeri. Sasa nimeona nimesikia Kenya Law, nikasema roho ni gani? Anyways, Kenya Law Report nimesikia. Na pia nimeiweza kuisoma.
Okay.
Unajua wakati nilikuwa nataka kuwa wakili, lakini mambo ikanichenga kidogo mahali Sagamnege, lakini si tuko Nairobi wote.
Yes.
Haya. Sawa.
Na sasa I also in a side hustle I run a website called by exam preparation website ya student ambao wako Kenya School of Law, online contact ambayo it's one of its kind in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes, and it's have around 1,800 subscribers.
Interesting.
Na already about 600 already admitted advocates from the website. I also, on the side, I started an NGO called Empowerment Network for Disabled Profession.
Okay.
I'm a disability rights advocate. Fight for their rights. And we are accredited by IBC to give civic education.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, so that's why I'm here.
You are a certified IBC civic educationist.
Yes.
Okay.
Na nakuanga passionate sana na maneno ya constitutional law.
Mambo ya katiba.
Yes. Yes.
So when you ambao unakaranga, you're among the ones who are karangaring BBI. Ama huko jikoni.
Asikuwa kwa jiko.
Sasa hii itakuwa kama shule. So you need to know that you're going to drive the conversation. You're going to tell us what kind of a process that we're actually talking about. What kind of an amendment are we talking about? First of all, let's get a background on how one can amend the constitution. Where does it begin? I want to change the constitution today. Where do I begin as a Kenyan? How many processes are available? Which process actually are we in right now? What next and all these other things. So anyway, acha niangalie na Sadis Konsansa, please GB congratulate my former high school, Kamureito in Bomet, a well-performing day school, which managed to perform 7.5 and 97 students direct to entry university. Pongezi sana watu wa Kamureito high school, pale Bomet. Nasikia ni ka day school ambayo kanangangana sana. Asante sana. Naona Jack Kubati anasema yuko ndani. Asante sana. David Kamau, morning great people of Kenya. Good morning to you. Gagi Fade, nakuona umechangamka, umefika tayari. Haya. So wewe anza maneno ya kusomesha wananchi.
Okay.
From scratch. MC Kalia chama menokisho Kettle Dip tayari amefika pia. Ndio ajue mambo ya katiba, anaibanga kura sana huko village ya Kettle Dip. Anyway, anza kazi yako, sukua majamaa wangu tusikie.
Okay. Ukitaka kuamend katiba, there are two ways. There is a Parliamentary Initiative na kuna kuanga na Popular Initiative. What we are dealing with right now is what we called Popular Initiative, ambayo ni maneno ya BBI. Lakini kuna njia ya Parliamentary Initiative ambayo inafanyangwa na wabunge, ambayo bill inakuwa introduced kwa parliament. Kisha kuwa introduced kwa parliament, wabunge wanapitisha through two thirds both in Senate and National Assembly.
Okay.
And ikishapita inaendea kwa president ana assent. That is article 256. Na ikiwa inadili na vitu zile 10 ambayo ziko kwa katiba, article 255 inaenda kwa wananchi for referendum. Okay. But what we are dealing with here, maneno ya 257, what is called a popular initiative. A popular initiative inaanzanga na kitu inaitwa a question. Okay. Una formulate bill, na ukisha formulate bill kama hii BBI, watu the promoters walikuwa Honorable Junet na Dennis formulate bill. Ilianza na maneno ya BBI, maneno ya handshake huko nyuma. Wananchi wanajua.
So pia watu wakisalimiana wanaweza badilisha katiba. So mimi na tukisalimiana sasa tunasema tusalimiane, yes. Alafu sasa tuanze kubadilisha katiba.
Tubadilishe katiba. Then
ama ni ya viongozi pekee ama wananchi pia wanaweza salimiana?
Wanaweza.
Wananchi mimi na tunaweza salimiana na tuseme bas.
Yes.
Sisi tumesalimiana, yes. Sasa tuanze kugeuza katiba.
Yes.
Inawezekana.
Haya. But the problem inakuanga kupata 1 million signatures.
1 million signatures.
That is a challenge.
Hapo ndio kizungumkuti.
Ndio kizungumkuti. Na ukishafanya hivyo lazima uende ziwe verification. Ziende kuverifyiwa na ABC. Okay. Ati hawa watu wote ni registered voters. Okay. Na wameshaweka wamesign kwa hiyo bile. Wameweka kidole. Saa ABC kisha verify inaenda kwa county assembly. Na hii BBI ilipelekwa kwa county assembly na 24 assemblies ndio zinastahili kupitisha sasa before iende parliament. Na kwa hii BBI tuliambiwa 44 counties passed
delipitisha.
Okay. Out of 47. Although there is kuna kesi kotini inaendelea, it is questioning the process. Kuna counties zingine ziliambiwa hazikufanya public participation, and the court is yet to decide. Then ikishatoka hapo ikienda parliament inakuwa introduced without a delay. It is introduced without a delay, and it is debated by parliament. First of all inaenda kwa committee za parliament zina na sheria.
Okay. That is JLAC.
Justice and Legal Affairs Committee zinaangalia, then they table the report. Then after tabling the report wabunge wanastahili kupitisha. What is required there is simple majority. Okay. Simple majority ya National Assembly D49 is 177 MPs. And Senate 67 ni simple majority ni 33. But uliona juzi National Assembly walipitisha na 235. And saizi Senate ndio itapiga kura leo, by the way. Na ikishapita hiyo kitu inastahili kupelekewa president. President akishapelekewa, then because it is dealing with 10 issues. Ikiwa kuna ile issues, kuna 10 issues ambazo ordinarily the president is supposed to assent, then it becomes law. Alafu inaanza implementation. But ikiwa ina deal na zile 10 protected areas.
Which are these 10 protected areas?
They are Bill of Rights. Kuna maneno ya judiciary, kama saizi wanataka introduce ombudsman. Kuna issues za kudeal na parliament. If you are dealing with you are affecting the independence of parliament. Kama saizi kwa hii BBI wanasema PS na CS atakuwa akiwa vetted na bunge. Hiyo itaondolewa. President akishapitisha ma PS na ma CS wanapitishwa. So it's affecting the
parliament.
Parliament judiciary, Bill of Rights.
So actually there will be no vetting in parliament of CSs and PSs.
Yes.
According to BBI.
According to BBI.
Hiyo ni section gani hiyo? Unaweza tusomea uko nayo? Kuna BBI?
Niko nayo. Unaweza
tusomea? Ni wapi hapo?
Niko nayo hapa. it is chapter 10 dealing with the executive.
Haya, sasa zile anaangalia Maridadi Motors. Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuingiza gari yako kwa bei nafuu. You can get a print to import in Maridadi Motors. When you import in Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. When you import Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuingiza gari yako kutoka mahali popote ambapo unataka. Ikiwa Singapore, ikiwa Japan, if it is also in Dubai. Kuna watu ambao pia kuna magari pale Dubai wanataka kuingiza. Australia, any other place you want to import your car from, you can import through Maridadi Motors. Direct imports, and you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Maridadi Motors also gives you an opportunity to invest your money. If you have pesa ambayo inalala mahali fulani pale kando, you can invest in Maridadi Motors, that is import to sell. Import to sell model gives you an opportunity to trade in your vehicle, to trade with your money, and you get one up to 15% per annum. 15% returns per annum. You can never get such a deal anywhere else. Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to invest your money. Kama uko na pesa ambayo inalala mahali fulani akiba, unaweza ikapele Maridadi Motors, wanaingiza gari, alafu pia wanaweza kuuza kwa niaba yako, and you can make profits up faida ya 15%, 15% returns that you get when you invest in Maridadi Motors. Alafu pia na Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi pia ya kuweza kuweka akiba through Maridadi Motors yako. Alafu pale unaweza kuwekeza pesa yako. Kama ni gari unataka kununua, unailipia, unaweza kuichangia ama kuweka akiba ya 50% ya ile value ya gari. Alafu ile nyingine unaweza kulipia polepole ukiendelea na safari. Kuna watu pia ambao wanaitwa Swift Airtime. If you want to buy airtime, tafadhali weka nambari pale 325325 pay bill, weka account pay bill, weka business number 325325, alafu account number ni nambari yako ya simu. Kama nambari yako ya simu ni kama hii yangu, unataka kununua credit ya Telcom, unaweka pale 325325, account number 0779800010. Hiyo ndio nambari yako, ndio account yako. Alafu unaweka hela pale, unaweza pata pia discount ya 5% ukiweza kununua airtime na Swift Airtime. 325325, account number ni nambari yako ya simu. Alafu pia kuna majamaa pale ambao wanaitwa Zigo wa delivery. Zigo, kama uko na mzigo wako unataka kuikimbiza mahali delivery, unaweza kupiga delivery mahali, ongea na Zigo. Zigo inaweza kukupa huduma ya kuweza kupeleka mizigo yako, can deliver for you within Nairobi katika haraka upesi sana. Zigo inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kubeba ama kudeliver mzigo wako haraka upesi. Maridadi Motors nimesema inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuingiza gari yako kwa bei nafuu zaidi. When you import it Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Pigia simu Maridadi Motors leo ili uweze kupata gari yako. Haya, umpata nani yako?
Yes. Article 152 of the current constitution says the president shall nominate with approval of National Assembly appoint cabinet secretary. Sasa amendment, the proposed amendment inasema inclusive by deleting the words nominate with approval of the National Assembly. So hiyo itaondolewa. So that means hatukutakuwa na approval ya MCS na by the National Assembly. There is also a clause on permanent secretaries and also secretary to the cabinet. Hao watu wote watapointiwa direct na president. But kwa PS, first of all you do application by Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission wana kunominate, alafu president appoints you. Yes, lakini saizi hakuna approval ya National Assembly. So hiyo imeondolewa. Yes.
Okay. So hiyo ni umesema iko kwa section gani ya BBI?
Iko clause 29
Clause 29.
Article 152 sabatiko 2.
Okay. Sauti ya wakili tumeipoteza. Tafadhali angalia hiyo sauti. So article
152
Okay.
Yes.
Kwa BBI?
Kwa BBI ni clause 29. Clause 29.
The president will be appointing CSs and PSs, no vetting through parliament.
No vetting.
Direct appointment.
Direct appointment.
So where is the danger with that?
The danger with that is that BBI unajua has duties powers of president zimekuwa increased. In fact, we are going back to imperial president.
Wow.
Because president can appoint anyone. Unajua serving as a cabinet secretary, it's a great honor.
Okay.
Because there are only 22 only. So tunataka watu ambao wamesoma, they understand their docket, watu ambao wako na integrity. Tunaweza kuwa na ile situation kama you remember the HSR saga. Yes, with all due respect for HSR, you know, HSR masomo yake hakuwa amesoma. That is in the public domain. So
alisoma lakini hakusoma sana ya kutosha. So unajua kusema hakusoma na alienda nasa, hiyo ni masomo. Usema hakusoma sana ya kutosha.
Yes, hakusoma ya kutosha. Yes. So that is a danger. President anaweza appoint cronies.
Okay.
The safeguard ya kupeleka National Assembly ni approval ya Parliament. Although Parliament sometimes you can say that they are
compromised.
It's not independent.
But at least for the sake of us feeling good.
Yes. But at least one day we dream for the Parliament which is independent and checks the executive. So wanaweza reject or accept. Wakireject wanakuambia hii jina tutaki leta ingine. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So do you think we are reversing the gains of the Constitution 2010 through that amendment?
There are some gains, there are some losses. For example, the losses, one of them is that cabinet secretaries and peers will not be nominated. Another
will not be vetted.
Will not be vetted by Parliament after president nomination. Another loss, in my opinion, ni maneno ya judiciary ombudsman, which is interfering with the judiciary. We need a independent judiciary. JC ilikuwa inafanya kazi vizuri sana. We don't want a hard, the ombudsman will be nominated by president. I will approve na anakaa JC.
Okay. It's an appointee of the president.
Yes.
Okay.
So independence ya judiciary will be compromised. The judges watakuwa naogopa. Another thing, although another gain, another loss kwa hii BBI ni maneno ya, although we are fighting for gender parity, to increase the number of women in parliament, which is a good thing, but there will be kutakuwa na watu wengi sana kwa parliament, ile wanaitanga double decker parliament. Itakuwa so many, it may affect the quality of debate. Si unaona kama National Assembly saizi 349 hata kuna watu waongeangi.
Kuna watu ambao hawajaizungumza kwenye bunge.
Yes, they are just backbenchers. Also, it is going to increase the, each and every MP comes with security or facilitations ya ofisi.
Okay.
Another bad thing with the BBI ni maneno ya SRC. SRC, ukiangalia article 230, the composition of SRC ni there are bodies that nominate members to SRC. COTU, LSK, TSC, there are various bodies ukiangalia article 230. Okay. Now, the BBI is proposing that all those be nominee of the president wanaapproviwa. So
all of them should come from the president.
Yes. Okay. So generally, you see that is an independent commission.
Okay.
The architecture of 2010 constitution ilikuwa inataka president awe executive. You see, when we are making the 2010 constitution, watu walikuwa natoka maneno ya Moi, imperial presidency, walikuwa nataka president awe anakuwa checked. Na to check the parliament, to check the president, they wanted a parliament which is strengthened, a judiciary which is strengthened, and independent commission and independent offices.
Which one of them is SRC? Which one of them is SRC?
Yes, which one? Okay. One of them is SRC. So, tukisema SRC were nominated by president, it's not a good thing. But there are good things with BBI.
Which are? What are the gains?
The gains are that, first of all, the biggest gain is 35% going to the counties. I think that is a good thing. because
And people have argued that what's the difference between because the Constitution 2010 stipulates that a minimum of 15%. We have not been able even to meet the 15% minimum threshold. So what's the difference? Because the maximum can be 100%.
Okay, you see, at least 15%. Unajua inasemanga at least 15% of last audited. You see, but you see the government, this government, Jubilee wanakuanga wanapatiana 15% on the dot. So
wanapeananga 15%. There have been arguments that they have not even met the 15% threshold. There have been arguments that they have not even met the 15% threshold.
Sindio nasema, they have never met 15% of the last audited. And najua the last audited as a season last year, 2019, 2020. I think the last audited is 4 or 5 years ago. But ikiwekwa kwa sheria 35%, I think itakuwa nzuri. They will be compelled to give 35% to the counties.
Who has been compelling them to give 15%? Who has compelled them to give 15%?
ni sheria.
There's a media sheria pia katiba ya 2010 nasema at least 15%, which is in short says minimum of 15%. So as the constitution compelled the government to devolve 15%, have they been able to meet the 15% threshold?
They have never they usually say they have met, but to me I don't think they have ever met. So but to me 35% is good.
Which you sure they'll meet that? What if they don't meet 35%?
That the government wacha tuweke kwa sheria, because the government haitakuwa Jubilee forever. Another government may come in power next.
Then they'll make it worse. Now they devolve 5%.
Kuna hii maneno ya World Development Fund ya
MCS.
Ya MCA 5%. Iende kule chini kwa mashinani kabisa. There are governors who usually they ikiwa wasikizanangi na MCA
anafanya
development lakini sasa 5% ikiwa compared kule mashinani inasaidia kabisa, unaona. Kama kwetu I come from a ward inaitwa Katuanyaga ward from Kiambu, which is one of the neglected ward in Kiambu. So hiyo vitu inaenda huko chini na watu wanafanya development. Another good thing with BBI ni kwamba to me hii maneno ya prime minister ku expand the executive
it's again
to me because italeta inclusivity hapo juu. The 5 seat will be distributed to different communities.
How many communities do you have in Kenya? So are you not creating for the 4 seats?
5. I know.
Why are we not creating 44? We have 44 communities. Why are you not creating 44 seats at the executive?
That is another side of the coin. But you see, you see, there has been this bad thing about inasemekana the two dominant communities in Kenya are dominating the prime minister, the president and the deputy. So and at least wacha to include watu tuwe na kabila mingi hapo juu. Although it will not accommodate all. You see, when you can accommodate the most antagonistic communities, unajua ile competition inakuanga the 5 major tribes. Hizo zingine zinaweza patiwa cabinet secretary, deputy ministers wako kwa bunge. So at least when the executive is expanded, at least there will be something.
Okay. So let me ask you, Wakili. I don't know if you're arguing as a lawyer or as a politician, but let me ask you this question. You're talking about including tribes in the executive, right? That constitutional amendment does not talk about tribes. It talks about political strength, And so the president comes, of course, he's a winner. And then the prime minister comes from the majority in parliament. The way Kenyan politics is structured is most of the time, the people who win elections have the majority in parliament. except in 2007 when ODM had a majority in parliament against Kibaki's PNU. So there's no guarantee that you'll have someone from another tribe. You could have one tribe being the prime minister, and there's no restriction in that constitutional amendment that says that if a Kikuyu is president, a Luo should be prime minister, or a deputy prime minister should be a Kalenjin. It only talks about political power. Or political convictions, political whatever persuasions. It doesn't mention about tribe balance. So where do you get it?
You see, in the Constitution, on the executive, I want to read for you one Article 129.2, which is not amended. The composition of national executive shall reflect the regional and ethnic diversity of people of Kenya.
That is Katiba 2010.
2010.
So as it reflected? So,
because it is required that when the president is nominating the prime minister, lazima atakuwa. For example, if the president is a Kalenjin, he cannot take a prime minister with the deputy. Of course, will be they will run the election together. They will be from another tribe. The prime minister.
Where are you getting that from the Constitution?
See the composition.
Can you read it again? Read it again.
Article 129.2. The composition of national executive shall reflect the regional and ethnic diversity of the people of Kenya.
That is Constitution 2010.
2010.
So as it reflected as we speak?
It has, you see, unaona 2013 mpaka 2017 ya Jubilee. To speak the truth, we came here to speak the truth.
But you're lying to Kenyans.
No, haikuwa ina reflect. Walikuwa nasema it was majorly made from.
Haikuwa ina I reflect. Even as we speak, there's been complaints. We've seen people complaining, even senators complaining, including Olekina, that the executive is rigged towards one community. So when you read in Constitution 2010, not even BBI, these are constitutions that is in force, Constitution 2010. As it reflected the way you're reading from the Constitution?
It has not.
Okay. And
you see, that is the president. When the president takes an oath, Barekar Salani, he says, and he takes an oath to defend the Constitution and to do it according. So unajua kuna kesi hata juzi, you remember there is a case that declared the cabinet secretaries ambao waliserve term ya kwanza, akina Matiangi, they were supposed to be vetted again.
So now, Wakili,
and also,
I want to disrupt your thoughts because I think you're also losing your trail of thought. Constitution 2010, you're reading for us Constitution 2010 that demands that the executive should be a balance of the ethnic communities that we have as a country. You just read to us a BBI document that first of all gives the president veto power to appoint without parliamentary approval people to get in power, PSS and CSS to get into power. So it means if he chooses, if today Raila Odinga, William Ruto is the president, he can decide to have all the Luos, all the Kalenjins, all the Kikuyus in one line as in the cabinet, and nobody can question it because it is in the constitutional amendment. Now, Constitution 2010, first of all, is in violation. We've had a government that has been in power for almost 10 years. We've seen complaints of the executive being rigged, the cabinet being rigged against one community, towards one community, or in favor of one community. You're talking about an amendment, and you're telling us that it's again that we'll have a balance. In that constitutional amendment about expanding the executive, it has not talked about balancing the executive according to tribes. Not unless you read it for me in that amendment. It only talks about the president will come, because he's a winner, and then the prime minister will come from the majority in parliament. Right? Am I right or wrong? That's right. Fine. So there's a possibility even that we'll have the prime minister and the president coming from one party. Because if I win an election today and I have the majority in parliament, then it means I'm the president and the prime minister will come from my party because I hold the majority in parliament. So when you talk about the ethnic balance, where is it in that amendment?
I'm saying it is not there. But you see, nakwambia hapa, the president is anastahili. It will depend on the magnanimity of the president.
So how can you constitutionalize magnanimity? Because it's an emotion. He
is supposed, according to the Constitution 2010, he's supposed to, the national executive is supposed to reflect regional and ethnic balance, which he can violate. He can violate, and that's why.
And even now he's going to violate more because the Constitution will not hold him accountable. There's no parliament that vets approvals of CSS and PSS. So it means, and you're telling us that we are introducing an imperial president. So how can you combine magnanimity with imperialism?
And that's what I'm saying. He may violate, and that's why we have the courts. See, unaona courts, what they
but
say.
you're saying the court now will not be independent also. We'll have an ombudsman who is an appointment of the president.
No. You see, when the ombudsman is there, ombudsman is to get complaints from the judges.
Okay.
But judges will still going to their
Not from the judges, against the judges.
Eh?
The ombudsman is supposed to get complaints against the court.
Complaints
from the public against the courts of the judges.
The judges.
Okay.
Misconduct. Alafu he investigate, then he recommends to the Judicial Service Commission for action to be taken, because ilikuwa inasemekana the current mechanism does not allow the public very well to approach Judicial Service Commission on complaints. The mechanism is not also open. But you see, the constitution is, if you don't have constitutionalism, ini karatasi, ikiwa mtu hataki kufuata, what can you do?
So why do you?
And that's why there are courts. Ndio na kwambia, you remember the judgment that was given just the other day, which declared that the cabinet secretaries who were served in the first term, like in Miatangi, ought to have been vetted by the parliament afresh, because the president got a fresh mandate. Akasema the PS, the president, their PS, he appointed directly without kufanya applications zao kwa Public Service Commission. Also, they also were declared null and void. How the CS's offices were created without following the due process, zikakuwa nullified. Are you getting the point?
Which one was nullified?
So the courts are there. The courts are there. They are there to hold to interpret the constitution and to hold the other arms of government into account. You see, but the judge suspended the implementation kwa sababu ya COVID, but the courts are there.
Okay. Yes. So in an event that the president, from what you mentioned, that the parliament does not have vetting power over presidential appointments. In an event that the president decides to appoint one tribe in the whole 22 cabinet, what can you do?
The only thing is to go to court. To go to court, and the court will declare the appointment null and void.
On what basis?
On violation of Article 129(2).
So that's not being amended.
Reflect regional and ethnic diversity. The national executive, regional and ethnic diversity of Kenya. The national executive, which now contain the president, deputy president, prime minister, 2 deputies, the attorney general, the CS. Now that they have the name have been changed, they go back to ministers and deputy ministers. That is the national executive. So all those people must reflect the regional and ethnic balance. Okay.
Yes. According to Constitution 2010. So far we've had this government for 10 years, almost 10 years. It has in violation of that constitutional provision. What has happened so far? And what is it that will happen after this amendment?
Sorry, your question again?
I'm saying this government, Jubilee government, has been in power for almost 10 years now. We are 9 years in and it has been in violation, extreme violation of that constitutional provision that you're saying, 129 on ethnic balance. What action has been taken so far to date? And what are the guarantees that you're putting in this another amendment that's coming on BBI of expanding the executive? What if it is expanded for one tribe again, or for 2 tribes?
As I've said again, the only remedy you can have is just go to court, and the appointment will be declared null and void. By the way, do you know also it's a requirement that the cabinet reflects the gender balance, the third, and we have not achieved a third until just the other day when Nani was appointed to the cabinet, Betty Minor, the CS for trade. Okay. So now I think we have 7 women. So we have been in violation of from 2013. Just you remember the appointment was just the other day, like 2 years ago. Okay. So You see, it depends on the president who gets the mandate from the people. After he is sworn in, he's sworn here to defend the constitution and to do according to what it says. If he decide not to follow, what can you do? Just other to go to court, Yes.
Okay. All right. So the other day, the Chief Justice Emeritus Maraga declared that Parliament was in violation of the Constitution and issue was declared illegal, and he advised the president to dissolve it.
Yes. Now,
it is under the presidency and the 2010 Constitution, which is very clear on what is constitutional and what is not in those structures. So this has not happened, and the Constitution holds the president very accountable for this decision. Actually, the Parliament is operating in a violation, which means that every other thing that's going to be passed through that Parliament is an illegality or is in question, constitutionally. So what is it that we hold the president accountable to what these amendments is demanding of the president?
Okay.
Because what are the safeguards?
The president, you see, the Constitution says that if Parliament fails to enact one of the laws, they were given 5 years to enact all the legislation for the Constitution 2010, which was also extended for 1 year. And, the Parliament was not able to. They tried to enact the two-thirds gender bill, the dual bills, 2 times, 3 times, it failed. Through the petition from the Law Society and others, the Maraga advised the president to dissolve Parliament. The Constitution used the word shall. The Chief Justice shall advise the president. The president shall. The president ought to have dissolved Parliament. But you see, Parliament went to court, and that decision was stayed. So the president could not act on the decision. So the case is still ongoing. So you cannot say the president is in violation, because Parliament went to court, and court stayed the decision of the Chief Justice. So until the court determined, the hearing was just the other day. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Okay. And if Parliament says that the president should dissolve the Parliament, you will have no choice. And if he fails to dissolve the Parliament, he will also be in violation of the Constitution.
So the appeal, what was the contents of the appeal? Why were they appealing? Because it's a fact that they have not been able to meet the constitutional threshold. So on what basis was it stayed?
Parliament hired Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, and I know you have hosted him here, the senior counsel. There is argument that there are various arguments. First of all, which is the Parliament that failed to enact the two-thirds gender bill? Is it the 12th Parliament or 11th Parliament? Remember, this process of enacting the two-thirds started in the 11th Parliament. So that was one question. And so many other things. So there are several questions for the court to determine whether the advice was proper for the Chief Justice. And the court will make, in its wisdom, is going to make a decision on it. Yes.
Okay. All right. So anyway, now take us through this process. Now, you've told us there's a popular initiative that was initiated by 2 people. And also, we need to compare what's the difference between popular, because people imagine that popular initiative is something that's started by the people. And what's the difference between these 2 initiatives? Popular initiative, parliamentary initiative. Can you separate the 2? And also, when you talk about devolving 35%, is it 35% of what? 35% of revenue collected, or 35% of net audited accounts?
Okay. The difference between the parliamentary initiative and the popular initiative is that the parliamentary initiative is done purely through Parliament. A bill is introduced either for the House, and it is passed. through the second and third reading, it must be done by 2/3 majority of the MPs, which is 233 in the National Assembly and 44 in the Senate. And then it is taken to the president.
Okay.
The problem with parliamentary initiative is that it is very hard to get 2/3 majority to pass in parliament. And that's why popular initiative is more easy, because you collect, although collecting signature, you start by collecting the signature pursuant to Article 257. You collect the signature, you formulate a bill, then you take it to county assembly. After the majority of county assemblies, which is 24 pass, then the speakers of the county assemblies transmit those decisions to the speakers of the both houses. Okay. Then the parliament debate. In parliamentary initiative, the parliament can amend. At any given time, they can amend. At the third reading, second reading, they can amend. Okay. But through a popular initiative, you cannot amend. Okay. Because that's something that is started by Wananchi. And, Speaker Muturi gave a ruling on Tuesday or Wednesday, which was a ruling that lasted for about 2 hours. From 2:30 to 4:20, which was the correct position. Even if the BBI contains some clauses which are not good, for example, they are saying the 70 constituencies, saying they will go to these counties is unconstitutional. You can't amend. It is going to pass that way. Then, after it is passes through a majority vote, unlike parliamentary, which is 2/3, then it goes to the president. The good thing with the BBI is that there is court cases, and the court say that after the Senate passes the decision today, they were barred. The Senate, the speakers were barred from transmitting the decision of the both houses to the president until the cases that are in court are heard and determined. So, court, in their power, I know they will they will make some findings on BBI, and that is very proper. For example, about the 70 constituencies. Then after the bill goes to the president, he assents it is published, and if it contains the 10 things that cannot be amended without a referendum, which are contained in this BBI, it goes to the referendum. And the referendum is supposed to do within 90 days after the decision of the president assent. Okay. So, yeah. But the process is going to delay a bit because of the court decisions, court cases that are pending. I think there are 8 petitions consolidated. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we are heading to, where are we heading to now after this? So there was no need even, whether the parliament was going to vote yes or no, it was still going to go to the referendum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it says whether it uses the word, let me read for you. A bill, that is Article 257.8. A bill under this article is passed in Parliament, is supported by the majority of each house. Sub-Article 9. If Parliament passes the bill, it shall submit it to the President to assent in accordance to Article 256.4.5. Now 10. If either houses of Parliament fails to pass the bill, or the bill relates to matters specified in Article 255.1, which contains the matters which cannot be amended without a referendum, the proposed amendment shall be submitted to the people in the referendum. So, whether Parliament passes or not, 10
it still goes to referendum. So, what was the role of Parliament in this process?
I think the role of Parliament, this is the wisdom of the drafters of the 2010 Constitution. I think because you see, the Parliament is with making of the laws. One of the roles of Parliament under Article 94 is making laws, and also they are representative of the people. So I think it must go through their hands. as people who make laws and the representative of the people to look at it. But if it is popular initiative, they cannot amend.
Okay.
And that is a law, and that is the wisdom of the drafters of the 2010 Constitution. They put it as that way. Yes.
So what was the point of debate in Parliament on this thing? What were they debating? What were they voting for? What were they voting against? And why did it have to go to Parliament? What was the discussion? What was the debate in Parliament? And what were they voting on? And why did it have to go through Parliament? For what purposes?
You see,
because you cannot amend, the Parliament cannot amend, the Parliament cannot change anything, can only say yes or no, and whether they say yes or no still goes to the people. So what was the point of, what were they debating in Parliament? What were they voting on? And why did it have to go through Parliament?
Okay, as I said, you know, the law of Parliament is to make laws, and this being the supreme law of Kenya, I think it was good. It passes there.
Just to pass through. Kupita tu.
You see, the role of Parliament, Article 94 sub Article 3, Parliament may consider, and pass amendment to this Constitution. Consider. The word here is consider. You see, consider means that you may not make amendment.
But you say they cannot amend. You just say they cannot amend.
Yes, they may consider and pass amendment. So consider means that they may not amend. And you see, the article, sub-article I've read to you, 257.8, if the bill under this article is passed by Parliament, is supported by majority of members of each house. So majority of members. So to know the majority who have passed, you know, they must take a vote. So they consider, because that is their law.
So what if the majority rejected? What happens?
If the majority is rejected, it will still go to the people, as I have read to you.
So what was the business of it going there?
It is how the Constitution has been structured.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So whether they vote no, whether they vote yes, is still an excess in futility. Anyway, so where are we heading to now from this?
From here,
if the Senate voted against the document, it's still null and void. It still goes to the president first.
Yes, which is highly unlikely. I think Senate will pass. And will pass. I think they will also pass with 2/3 majority, like the National Assembly. And then ordinarily the decision of both houses should go to the president, but because of the cases, the Parliament, the both speakers have been barred from until now. The case are heard and determined, which I think the case are to be heard. If it is this week, next week, I think the court will render the decision. They know the urgency of this matter as soon as possible. Yes, I think it's a 5 bench.
All right. So yesterday there was the budget provision budget for 2021-2022 came out, and in it there is no budget for BBI. There is only a budget for 2022 election preparations, and there have been this argument that the president could consider passing the amendments or signing the amendments into law without having a referendum. There's been an argument that we don't need a referendum, and even in Parliament, when you're talking about when you're talking about amendments or anything, but there was this argument that the fact that it came with the people, it was signed by the majority, is a force in its own that it doesn't need to be amended. Now, can the president use the same thing to sign this into law without a referendum?
I think I know the court. The court decision. We deal with that matter because that also is another thing that is before the court. It is the things that are supposed to, because the Parliament has passed, the things that are supposed to go to the referendum are very minor issues, very minor, and the court will determine strictly which are the provisions which provisions which need to be taken to wananchi. I saw another time saying that yes, what you are saying about the referendum. You know, there was there was but this is politics, eh?
Okay.
Now this is politics, not law. You remember the other time you see the budget for this BBI was in on with the PS internal. It's one who was holding this big budget. So you remember Orengo was very angry, saying that there's he called them some cabals. You remember? So to me, they were saying there were some people in the executive view of the view there is no need for going for the referendum, but the Baba's people wanted the thing to be taken to the referendum, so that they build wajijenge nayo. You know, Baba built himself with the 2005 referendum. He prepared himself for the 2007 election. So the other side of the handshake, Baba, they want the referendum. The president side, they don't want, because of the economy. We don't have money, and also it is during COVID. So those are politics, and that's why you may see you see in the budget there is no provision for BBI, for referendum. So you see the president is the one who has the powers. It may be taken to him, he signs, and there is no referendum which will be done, which will annoy the other side. But also we are waiting for the court to see what it says, because the provisions that are supposed to go to the referendum are very negligible. They are very small, minor things. They are not so many things.
Okay.
And you see the parliament has passed. In fact,
so the president can sign this into law without a referendum?
He can.
Okay.
Yes, he can.
He can send it into law without a referendum.
Yes.
You mentioned that the people want a referendum is the Raila Odinga side.
Yes.
Do you think they'll accept signing into law without a referendum?
They may not accept, but you see the president has all the powers.
Okay. So let me ask you, before we go there, you said that what is being amended in the BBI document is within the 10 sections of the Constitution that must go into a referendum, and you listed them. You made a list of those 10 issues that must go to a referendum. So where do you get this? Where do you get the power now to tell us that the president has the power to oversight that, to go over that, to ignore that provision, to ignore the amendments? And you said it's negligible. You started by saying that the BBI seeks to amend 10 parts of the Constitution, which are very integral and cannot be amended without a Constitution. Now you're saying what needs to go to a referendum is very negligible. At what point did they become negligible?
You see, this is my opinion,
No, I want the opinion of law, not your opinion.
Yes.
You came here as a law expert, so you can give us what law demands. And you started well by saying that the process has to go into referendum because it's affecting 10 sections of the Constitution that must go into a referendum. Now, you've turned and you've told us that they are negligible. The things that should go to a referendum are very negligible. At what point did the law change between your conversation?
You see, when I was starting, I was saying about what strictly the Constitution says. There are those 10 things which are listed in Article 255.
It was in reference to what I asked you about this, the process, because you said it shall go to and it must go to a referendum. Yes, and I asked you why. And you say it's because it's affecting 10 sections. And you listed them. You mentioned judiciary, you mentioned the parliament, you mentioned rights, you mentioned, is it Bill of Rights? You mentioned all these sections. You say that they must go to a referendum for it to be amended. Now, you're telling us the president can sign it into law without a referendum. And you're saying he has the power to sign it into that. And you're saying that he can sign it into law because what is supposed to go to a referendum is very negligible. What are these things that you feel are negligible? Again, it's what you had earlier started off by saying it must go to a referendum because it's affecting the 10 sections that must go to a referendum when you want to amend the Constitution.
Okay. Yes, there are those... there are 10 issues that must go to the referendum.
Yes. Can you list those 10 issues again? We start from there.
Yeah, they are Article 255 1. The things that must go to a referendum when the Constitution is amending the supremacy of the Constitution, the territory of Kenya.
Which is being affected?
Yes. the sovereignty of the people, the national values and principles of governance in Article 10, the Bill of Rights. Like the Bill of Rights, the Article that one is being amended a small bit there. The term of office of the president, which is not touched. The independence of the judiciary, which is the things to do with the ombudsman, the functions of parliament, which I told you
has been affected. So what is negligible?
The object and principles of structure of devolved governments and the provision of
which has been affected because you're also amending the development unit. You're affecting the units of development within.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we shall go to the referendum.
So now finally you're saying so which one which one was negligible? Which one are you saying was negligible?
You see, all these things is about interpretation. So it's all about interpretation. But let's wait for the court to how they are going to interpret.
So according to the law, are you going to a referendum or are we not going to a referendum?
You are going for a referendum.
Okay. So can the president sign this into law without a referendum?
He can sign. Then we go to the referendum on the issues that there are only those small issues that requires to go to the referendum.
So he cannot sign it into law without a referendum.
Yes, he cannot.
Okay.
Yes.
Mambo ni ngumu. Okay. All right. So the president cannot sign it into law without a referendum. So we are definitely going into a referendum. Fine. So we are going to. You said now it has been passed. It goes to the Senate. Fine. It goes to the president. He sends he sends the bill and sends it for a referendum. Returns it to Parliament for preparation for a referendum. Okay. You said that the reason why there is no budget for BBI is because we might not go into a referendum. Do you still stand by that?
You see, you must differentiate between the law and the politics.
Okay.
Those are two different things.
Okay.
I'm also a political analysis. I know how things are.
Okay.
Strictly speaking, on the law, we are supposed to go to the referendum. But you see, on the political side, the powers that be who controls things in their mind, because they have abused powers in the past, they are decided we are not going for the referendum.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you now. There has been also a conversation of having multiple choices in a referendum, because now this is not a constitution. We are not changing the constitution. We are amending the constitution. So there has been an issue of we cannot have the luxury or the choice of saying yes or no, because we are amending several sections of the constitution, which affect differently. I could agree with an expanded executive, but I don't agree with the Bill of Rights being amended. I could agree with the Bill of Rights being amended. I could not agree with the introduction of ombudsman in the judiciary. There seems to be a raft of changes, and the difference between Constitution 2010 and this is that we are changing the Constitution in 2010. We are now amending the Constitution, which means we are introducing amendments into an existing Constitution, which are several amendments. There has been a conversation with those who are saying the document still needs to be refined, and the argument has been we agree with this, but we don't agree with this. Right? And the normal Kenyan has not been given the luxury to choose what to agree on and what to agree on. Do you feel it's possible in a referendum to have a multiple choice where I can say, I want the executive, but I don't want the introduction of the ombudsman. I want the introduction of the ombudsman and the expanded executive, but I don't agree with the vetting power being taken away from Parliament. Is it possible to have a multiple choice referendum?
Yes, it is possible. It is provided already in the Election Act. On multiple question, there was a referendum law that Parliament was supposed to. You see, the Election Act has deals with the referendum, but it is not very substantive. There was a referendum bill which was supposed to be enacted by Parliament, which was supposed to be very elaborate on the thing, but unfortunately, have not passed. Yes, strictly speaking, by law, we are supposed to have multiple question because it's already provided in the law. But because also I'm analysis, I'm an analyst, I know what's happened. It's highly unlikely that IBC will give Kenyans a multiple choice question, although it's provided on the law, because they say that many Kenyans are not educated. You are going to confuse them, giving them multiple questions. The voting will be very expensive because you see, when you have multiple questions, you have a very big ballot. People will take time ticking there at the booth. The budget, time taken at the police station, and we have social distance. To me, so to answer your question simply, the law provides that there be given multiple questions, but it's highly unlikely that IBC will give a multiple question. It will be yes or no on all the questions.
So why should we not give multiple, and this thing is provided for?
You see, they usually say, Afaya has explained that you shall be here with you. You're going to tell me. Utaniambia tu. They say, you see, multiple questions. First of all, it will make the budget to be higher. Okay. For example, earlier we are voting for 3 people before the 2010 constitution. We are voting for the president, the MP, and the councillor. Now we vote for 6 seats: president, governor, senator, women rep, MP, and MCA. So that increased the cost because you see the ballot, how it is printed, it is more bigger, and so it is going to increase the cost, and this is the money we are trying to save. And also
why are you not getting rid of it altogether to save money? Because you cannot argue you're spending money, but you're saying you want to save money by not giving multiple. Because if you are decided to go into a referendum, you want to get the voice of Kenyans to vote on a document, a constitution that belongs to them, then you cannot talk about spending money but still argue about saving money.
Right,
what is the argument? Because I want you to argue like a lawyer. Argue with law. Don't worry about the finance. You're not talking about the treasury and the tax collection, about carry and all these other things. You're talking about the law. You're saying the law provides for multiple choice. Well, you're talking about a referendum that is coming up, and Kenyans who are saying, yes, these amendments are coming. We agree with 1, 2, 3. We don't agree with 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you argue with the law why Kenyans should not be given an opportunity to have a multiple choice?
There's no argument. There's no argument because the law already provides. But also, we live in a context. You must understand the context that we are living in Kenya.
Which is?
For example, about the money, you don't have enough money. For example, you are telling me the budget, they have not even allocated money for referendum. Also, they say that many Kenyans are not about that thing, political literacy, about you are going to confuse them a lot when you tell them vote for this one. You want ombudsman? What is ombudsman? Do you remove the cabinet secretary? What? They are going to take a lot of time. So to remove all that, the question should be yes or no. But there is no legal argument. But we should be given multiple questions according to the law. But sometimes the law is not.
What is the problem if Kenyans can vote for all month? Where is the problem? Why is there an hurry to finish the referendum? According to law. According to law, is there a hurry to finish the referendum? You're saying it will take a lot of time. According to law, is there a place where there should be an hurry in voting this thing? Like we should do it in 2 days or 5 hours?
You see, referendum, it is usually provided for a day, and also IBC can extend. But these things, it can't happen in Kenya, let me tell you. And also, you see, this amendment for the BBI, they want us to be done quickly so that they are implemented. For example, these seats for the executive, they are supposed 2022 election, they are going to apply. The elimination of boundaries by IBC is supposed to be done. You see, the current constitution says that the elimination of boundaries must be finished before 1 year before election. Okay. But now that clause will be suspended for purposes of 70 constituencies. So IBC, must also say that even in court, if they'll be able to do these constituencies very quickly, by next year February they are done. So ndio unaona hata referendum wanataka ifanyike haraka sana, ndio waanze kuimplement hizi vitu immediately. So it's highly unlikely practically for a referendum to be done more than one day.
Okay. Yes. So now let's roll this against we to our tail end. Okay, because I think you're arguing more like a political analyst than a lawyer. Now, as we are to the tail end. Now, you've talked about the changes that we what does the Constitution say about making changes that affect the structure of government? When can you do it and when can you not do it?
The structure of government is one of the protected clauses. When you say the government, what do you mean? You know, government. Government is a big name. Do you mean
the structure of the executive then?
The executive. You can amend the structure of the executive. Like now, we are amending the executive. You are introducing the prime minister, 2 deputies, deputy ministers.
Okay.
Which is you're already doing with the BBI. The only thing that touches on the executive, that one you can do through parliament, which we are already doing. The only thing you need to take to the referendum is when you are changing the terms of the president. If you want to extend, you remove the term 10 years term limit. That one you must take to the referendum. Okay. But which is not touched by...
So it's affecting the structure of the executive. So when you talk about implementing those changes, can you implement it in the next election or it has to? Because there has been an argument that you cannot implement any changes to a constitution that affects the structure of executive or government in less than 24 months before the elections.
There have been an argument that, but that is an argument. It is not provided in law.
What does the law say? About when you can implement in time, you can pass a referendum, and the next elections you carry on with it.
Yes. The only thing that is, if I told you, is just the boundaries, review boundaries. It says the alteration on the constitutions must be completed 1 year before the election. So ordinarily, alteration of the constituencies supposed to have ended by August this year. Okay. Which IBC usually do review after 8 to 12 years. So, but that thing have been suspended by the constitution. So, if the BBI pass the 70 constituencies, they are going to be, they have been given timeline 6 months by which to have done the constituencies, which will end in February. They are supposed to finish by February next year, 6 months to
who suspended it?
The BBI amendment.
But it has not been passed. It's part of the amendments. The BBI amendments and the delineation of the boundaries is one document.
That's why I've said if BBI pass.
Okay.
If BBI pass in the referendum.
So if it passes now, it goes to February.
Yes. Okay. The delineation of constituencies, IBC start very quickly and they finish by February.
They finish by February. So when are we likely to have a referendum?
The referendum we are supposed to do 90 days. I think it will happen in August.
In August, okay. So between August and February,
yes, those are
will have been able to implement the changes, the BBI changes in the constitution?
No. The constituencies only deals with 6 months, but there are other provisions which more time has been given. For example, let me read for you. Okay, all of them require 1 year. 1 year.
They all require 1 year.
All 1 year. Let's just say all of them will be done by the next election. Because the only provision that is told to be given 2 years is any registration necessary to give provisions of this act. Let's say all of them will be done within 1 year. So the amendment, all of them will have been done hopefully by August next year when you are going for the election. the Ward Development Fund, the Youth Commission, Constituency Development Fund, Office of the Ombudsman, the constituencies, all those things. Yes.
Okay, so we'll have a referendum in the next by August. We'll have a referendum.
Yes.
So after the votes will come in and all that, the implementation probably will take another 3 months. The whole process of making the changes, approving the referendum process probably will take for it to go through the next 3 months from August, right? So that is almost November. Sindio? Then now we start the changes. Do you think we'll be ready to have this IBC will already have done the delineation of the territories and will be ready with the new constituencies by the next election, by August, general elections?
It depends on how quickly we implement, because it is said within 1 year.
Okay.
Because all these things are supposed to be done by Parliament, creating through acts of Parliament.
Okay.
For example, creating the Youth Commission, World Development Fund, Constituent Development Fund, the Office of the Ombudsman. The application are done, the approval by Parliament and the appointment by the President. I think it will be done because it all needs the goodwill of the executive and the goodwill of the Parliament, which the goodwill is already there. So in my own opinion, it will be done. It will be done. It will be done. Yes.
All right. Okay. So, okay, I don't know if you have anything else to tell Kenyans.
We are going to do proper civic education. This was just a curtain raiser, and because after Parliament passed, and now the referendum, there is that referendum period, which is given by the law. Each campaign are done proper. And you see these people have not been given the BBI documents. So there will be a lot of urge for civic education. So we are going to do proper civic education chapter by chapter.
Okay.
We start this chapter, we do chapter by chapter. By the end, when they are going to vote, they understand which amendment, which is contained in the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020.
Okay. There has been a story that we have several BBI bills, different BBI bills. So which one are you going to do the civic education on?
That copy that is given by the government printer, which is certified, that is the one I'm going to use.
Okay.
You see those things, that's the one I'm going to use. Yes.
All right, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure having you. To have you again. Wish you all the very best in your civic education. Maybe you have civic education. Takia yote mema, and you guys are going to convince Kenyans. But it looks like you guys have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of work to do because there are a lot of things that I think you agree and disagree with at the same time. So, so maybe you also need the civic education first before you go and do the civic education.
No, you see, the role of a person who is doing civic education is to give people, you don't take sides, you give people the correct information so that they can give an informed decision. Are you getting the point?
Okay.
Yes, that is the point. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for coming here.
Okay.
The taco is the place to be. You saw I came with a very short notice. And
thank you so much for coming on time.
Yes, on time, and here I am, and we are going to engage more. Call me another time. I know you have engaged Wazito here, Akina Hanan Nasir, Akina Havi. By the way, Havi is my friend. I campaigned for him, and many other great Kenyans, David D. And I usually follow the taco. So it is a great honor to give me that opportunity. I'm still building myself. Give me another chance to come.
Okay, anytime. So karibu tena, nashukuru sana kwa sababu ulikuja. I really appreciate, and I wish you all the best. Keep moving, keep doing what you think could make Kenya better. Thank you also for following the tackle and also for the kind of comments that you've given it. I appreciate. your approval. Tunashukuru sana.
Much.
All right. Thank you so much who have been watching as we really appreciate. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tunashukuru sana kwa kuona. It's been a great session. I hope you guys have been able to get what you need to do, whether you're going to have a multiple choice, whether you're going to have a referendum, ama mambo itakuwaje. Until tomorrow, tupige siasa Wednesday. Until tomorrow on siasa Wednesdays, I want to wish you guys a very great day. Take care. Nairobi pia ni kubaya, mvua, weather, nini, traffic, it's crazy, and it's back to school. Pia watoto ambao waliweza kufanya vyema. I have a neighbor. Niko na mtoto wangu hapa neighbor bana, amejikaza kabisa. Anaitwa Chepchumba Shela kutoka Merewet pale. Ona alipata A- kutoka Kapsabet Girls. Ongera sana Chepchumba Shela, index ndio maana kwa index 83. As a main grade A- aggregate 80. English B+, Kiswahili A, Maths A, Biology A, Physics A, Chemistry A, Geography A, Business A. Haya. Pongezi sana Chepchumba kutoka pale Merewet, anaitwa Sheila Chepchumba. I really appreciate you. You guys want to show all the very best. Na kila mwanafunzi ambaye aliweza kufanya vyema pia naweza kutakia yote mema. Na kama pia uweza kufikisha pale ambapo watu wengine wamefikisha, usikufe moyo. Don't give up. Kuna shule nyingine ya maisha ambayo tunakuja kuiendeleza hapa. Uweze jua mambo yanaweza kuwa vipi. So, don't give up. And also tuweke pressure watoto. Hii maneno kupigia wazazi, mtoto wako alipata ngapi? Mtoto wako hii. How is it your business? Wewe ngangana kama huna mtoto ambaye amefanya KCSE, wewe ngoja wako kwa mkubwa afanye KCSE alafu upate result. Mambo ya kusumbua wazazi, wewe ulipata ngapi? Na pia pressure. By the way, wazazi pia mnakuanga na maneno. A child is let's not put our children also under pressure. Unajua unaweza unakuja una plaster mtoto kwa gazeti, yeye ni number 1 nini hivi na hivi. Kesho anaenda shule, ana struggle kukacha because they are feeling they have the pressure to maintain the standards. Tafadhali tuendelee kuhakikisha kwamba tunapewa watoto nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kufanya mambo vile ambavyo wanaweza kuitaka. Jana pia kulikuwa na an improved student, the most improved student who had 190 in KCP, 190 marks in KCP, na ametoka hapo kama na B-. So it tells you that it doesn't matter what you get, also it doesn't matter what you got in the KCSE. Tafadhali kuja hapo nje kwa maisha, ingia college kama unaweza ingia, kimbia pale technical institute, you can go there. This life is not a competition. Lazima ufanye degree, enda pale ufanye vocational certificate ama ufanye diploma, alafu basi unaweza kupanda polepole kwa maisha. Kwa hivyo this is not the end of the world. It's not a judgment. The world has not judged you. Your exam results is not your destiny. It does not define your destiny. Until tomorrow Wednesday, siasa Wednesday, I want to wish you guys a very blessed day. And tafadhali tuchunge, tuwe safe. Let's keep safe and let's keep these conversations going. This has been The Tackle. The Tackle ends now. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye. Signing out.